going to be sharing my experience on how I moved to France as a student when I was 17, everything that I learned from that, and my advice to you in case you want to do the same thing. If you're interested in more like the story time, I did do a video a couple of months ago. I'm gonna put it right here. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe so I know. If you have any suggestions for videos that you would like to see, or if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below. Now, obviously, right now is not the ideal situation for anyone to move to another country, but this is actually the perfect time to do some research because we all have time in our hands. We're staying at home, and I believe it's better to take a lot of time to do research so that when it's time to take action, you're ready. Okay, so today I'm going to be touching on the 3 factors that I think are important to understand if you want to come to Paris as a student or France in general as a student. First, what type of program should you enroll in? Second, the specific requirements you need to come as a student. And third, the cost of living in Paris. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing that I would say is really important is to have an overall goal. Like, ask yourself this question: what is my goal? What do you actually want to do? Do you want to study in the university? Do you want to maybe just speak French? Do you want to just come here for the summer because you think it's fun? Like, what do you want to do? I think that's the main thing that is very important for you to figure out, because whenever you have the end goal, you can just reverse engineer your process and then figure out the way to get there. But if you really don't know what's your end goal, it's going to be very difficult to know what to do to get there. My specific goal when I started this at 17, I knew that I wanted to study in a university abroad. I didn't even know it was going to be France. I initially thought it was going to be in the US, but it turned out to be way too expensive. But in any case, I knew that that was my end goal. The way I structured it was, okay, so my end goal is to study in France, right? So for that, I need to speak French. Okay, but I don't speak French. So I'm going to go first and go for a French program. Or I could study French here in Colombia and then go there just for university. But I actually decided to come here and study French first and then go to university. So that was really the first step. It's just I figured out my goal. I knew I needed to speak French for it, and so I just needed to figure out whether I was going to learn French in France or if I wanted to do it in Colombia. And once you have that clear end goal, it is going to be much easier to choose what type of program to enroll in. I think there are like 3 potential types of programs that you can enroll. You could do a French program, you could do a university program, or you could do like an independent program over the summer, stuff like that. Like I said, I personally started with a French program that then gave me the B2 level that I needed to be accepted into university. Now, why it is important that you define the type of program that you want to enroll in is because the process to come and study French is very different than the process that you need to come and study at a university. But as far as majors go, just look on the different universities' websites, and I know that in France, universities have like this type of classement, which is like the list of the best universities depending on the major that you want to do. And there are some majors that exist maybe in your country, like I know in Colombia there are some majors that exist there but that don't exist here. Engineering in Colombia, for example, it's a bachelor's degree that you can do in a university, but here you have to go to a specific school for engineers. So all of those things, all of like the little details, it is important to figure them out before. So go to the university's website so you can look at, you know, the content of the major, what it's about, if it's a good fit or not, and then you can make your decision. Right now, the advice that I can tell you is if you're not sure that you want to do university here, I would definitely say it would be nice to do maybe like a French summer program, something that just allows you to come here and like get a feel for the city and see if you like it, and then see how you want to go from there. Now, the main difference between choosing a French program and a university program is the level of French that you need. If you want to come here and study French, you only need a A1 level. But if you're going to come to university, you have to have a more advanced level, obviously, to be able to follow courses. And in some majors, they may ask for more. So now, I can personally say that I actually had a B2 level and actually a C1 in like writing. But even with that level, it definitely takes a little bit of time to get used to following classes in French, especially because I did economics, so I also feel like it depends on the major that you're going to do. When I got to like my first class, it was on microeconomics, and I literally understood probably like 30% of it, because there were like a lot of economic words and like math words and things that I was like, what does that mean? And so I freaked out because I was like, oh my god, I actually don't speak French at all, like what am I gonna do? But obviously with time, every day learning the same words and hearing the same things, you're going to learn them. So don't freak out, it gets better with time. I can say my first report card was 9 out of 20. That's how they do it here. Like at the end of the semester, you get a note out of 20. I got 9 out of 20. Obviously you need 10, so I was failing. And then I did literally 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I ended my major with 16, which is like a very good amount. No one ever gets to 20, so don't even try it. The best people get to like 18 or 19, but just teachers just refuse to give you 20 for whatever reason. But yeah, also if you enroll in a French program, you're more likely to have more time to like go and explore the city. French classes are a lot more like chill. Obviously you're with a lot of international students. You guys are going to be doing activities, maybe watching a movie, maybe going to the museum, like stuff like that is going to be a lot more chill. But if you're coming directly to university, you're going to be treated exactly like any other students. You're not going to get any special treatment, like nothing. If you understand or not, that's not the teacher's problem. They're not going to make any effort to help you or anything. You're just literally another student. So okay, so once you figure out the kind of program that you want to enroll in, now you're ready to ask for your visa. So I'm gonna leave in the description box the link to the official French government website that lists all the things that you need to ask for a visa. But you know, it's just pretty much like, you know, your passport and stuff like that, like personal stuff to prove your identity. But they also are going to ask for an acceptance letter. The way I proceeded is I just did a list of 20 establishments between universities and schools that I would like to join. I just wrote an email in Spanish asking all the questions, Google translated it and sent it to every university. Now once you send that first email, it is going to reduce your list until you get like the final maybe 2 or 3 universities or school that you are potentially going to join. Now this is also very different depending on if you're going to university or to a French school. If you're joining a French program, then they accept you, they give you that acceptance letter, and then you're going to use that acceptance letter to go and ask for your visa. For university, it works a little bit different because obviously when you're going to enroll in a French program, like you're just going to ask to be enrolled and they don't really have much of a background to ask of you. But when you're going to university, there's actually a level of, I want to say, like knowledge that you should have to be able to enroll in a major. And if the university is prestigious, they are going to have limited places and there's going to be a lot of people applying from all over the world. So it is going to be a little bit more difficult, and I would advise you to apply to as many universities as possible. I applied to all the universities in Paris because I just literally really wanted to come to Paris. You know, just apply to as much universities as you can. If the university accepts you, they're going to send you a letter that is going to be the letter that you're going to use to ask for a visa. When you go to university, they give you a student visa for a year that you have to renew each year. Now all I can say is try to relax during this process because I literally didn't know if I was going to get my visa 2 days before I had bought my ticket. My family had done like a goodbye party and I still did not have my visa. So if they would have denied me the visa, that would have been very embarrassing because I already had like my bags done and everything. So it can be very nerve-wracking. So all I can say is try to relax and trust that you have done everything that you can in your research to, you know, get the best results possible. Okay, so now let's imagine that you have your visa. You got your visa and you're in France. Another question that I get a lot is, can you work with a student visa? And the answer is, yes, you can. You are allowed to work around 900 hours per year. So the 900 hours, I'm going to put the exact amount because it's like 980 something, I don't know. So they are actually total in a year. So you don't have to have a part-time job for the whole year. You could do like a full-time job 6 months, or like a really intense job for like 3 months. Like, it doesn't really matter how long it takes you to get up to the 900 hours. The thing is, you have to respect the 900 hours. So I had a part-time job. I worked at Pizza Hut after university, and you know, I had that for 3 years. So I only did, I believe, 20 to 25 hours per week, which is what it amounts to, the total of 900 and something hours per year. But then when I got to Paris, I had like maybe 3 or 4 months that I did not work. So when I got my job at the nightclub, I was able to do more hours. So that's how it works. When you're a student, you can definitely work, but you have to pay attention and stay within the limits that you're allowed to. Okay, now for the last but not least factor that we're going to be taking into consideration is the cost of living in Paris. Okay, so as you know, when I came to France, I lived in Perpignan, which is this really small city in the south of France, and now I live in Paris, so I can have like an assessment of cost of living in different cities. And what I can say is the cost of living really depends on your lifestyle and your living standards. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to consider that you're just a normal student trying to live a cost-effective life, just like most students are. So I'm going to be speaking from my personal experience, and this is not a universal truth. So definitely do your due diligence and try to find out for you if it would match, you know, your expectations and your lifestyle. So I'm just going to be considering the 5 factors that I think are not optional, that are very necessary to live, you know, a good normal life. I'm going to be talking about rent, food, transportation, insurance, and internet, because no way of living without internet. So obviously the first and most expensive is rent. Rent in Paris can go from 400 euros all the way to 3,000, 4,000. Like, you can go as high as you want. But I think in Paris the most important factor when it comes to the rent is the location. So if your apartment is going to be like in the heart of Paris, or like in a really nice neighborhood, it's obviously going to be a lot more expensive. But if you're going to live in like the neighborhood or the arrondissement that are a little bit more, you know, far away from the city, it's all obviously going to be a lot less expensive. So Parisian apartments are very specific. I don't know if you guys have seen Emily in Paris. I did a whole reaction video to that series, but there is a thing that is called a chambre de bonne, which is a room that was originally made for the maids of the wealthy in Paris. And so it's the last 2 floors of really beautiful buildings in like central Paris, and like the 8th arrondissement, 5th, all of that. And I would say that's like the more common type of apartment for a student, because obviously it's a lot smaller, and so it's going to be a lot cheaper. For a chambre de bonne, and depending on the location in Paris, it is going to vary from like 400 to 600, 700, and even 800 euros. If you go above like 900 to 1,000, you can start looking at like studios or like mini apartments that you maybe have like a separate room in. You go over like to the 1,500, and then you can start seeing like more normal apartments with like a couple of rooms. But yeah, for the most part, students just live in chambre de bonne because it's just the cheapest option. So it's a way to you know, enjoy a nice location without having to pay a crazy amount for it. That's exactly my case. When I got here, I lived in a chambre de bonne, and I actually lived in the place that is called the Golden Triangle, which is like the most select place in Paris. You know, it's like right next to the Champs-Élysées, l'Avenue Montaigne. It's like where all the beautiful hotels, like the Four Seasons and stuff. So I got very lucky. But you know, you should really do your due diligence and try to get familiar as much as possible with Paris before coming here. I'm going to be leaving here the websites where you can find apartments to rent, just so that you can start taking a look and kind of like seeing photos and get a feel for what you like and how much is that going to cost you. Okay, so next is food. I believe this also depends on you, like if you like to go out a lot, if you like to eat at restaurants a lot. But in general, I would say like you should be able to eat like, I don't know, it depends also on what you eat, but I would say from 300 to 500 euros you should be able to, you know, like have a nice breakfast, a nice lunch and a nice dinner, and maybe go out a couple of times, but you know, just keeping it very cost effective. But yeah, I would say, you know, in general, just 300 to 500 you should be able to not starve. Now for transportation, there's obviously the metro. For the metro, you pay an annual rate of 350 euros. You can also pay it monthly, or you can also buy like little individual tickets. That's what I do now because I don't go outside a lot. So just for 10 tickets, it costs 15 euros, but it's a lot less cost effective. Most students use either the metro or, you know, bikes or something like that. So, you know, it is pretty cheap, especially for Paris. Now the next thing you need is insurance. So the insurance system here in France is very nice, and most of the fees are going to be taken care of by the Sécurité Sociale, which is like French insurance system, but you also have to have like a complement to that. I actually literally have decided to block my understanding from that, and I just will not ever know how it works. But I can tell you that if you're a student, you're going to pay around like maybe 50 to 30 euros per year to have, you know, like normal insurance stuff. That's all I can say. I don't go to the doctor a lot, thank God. And yeah, so I don't really know how it works. I just, you know, whenever I go, I just give like my little carte vitale, and after that I don't know what happens. But yeah, it's not very costly. It's just like, you know, another fee that adds up a little bit. It's just like 15 euros. And then last but obviously not least is just internet and like your phone, and that is just about like 50 euros, 30 euros, 10 euros. It really depends on like the program and the company that you use. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. So to finish off this last section of the video, I wanted to do kind of like a list of pros and cons of living in Paris, because I want you guys to have a very realistic view of what could be your future if you do decide to come to Paris as a student. So I'm just gonna go ahead and begin. So first pro is that Paris is not as expensive as you would think. Like I said, if you can figure out a way to get a cost-effective rent, if you're able to maybe find a job on the side, you should be able to be fine. The second pro, and I think the most important, is that it's way easier to find a job. Now, I'm not saying that they're handing out jobs, but as a student, you know, there are plenty of jobs that you can do. Like you can be a cashier, you can be like I was, you know, working at a nightclub. There are a lot of options, and all the big companies, obviously mostly they're in Paris because it is the capital. So I would say the most opportunities for jobs are definitely in Paris. And last but not least, this city is so beautiful. There's plenty to do, there's plenty to see, there's plenty to visit. You're never bored when you're in Paris. Now for the cons, Paris really varies a lot depending on where you live. So I really want to be a realist with this, and is that obviously Paris is not all what you see in the movies. Like what you see in the movies obviously exists, but depending on where you live, you can live a very different reality. So just be aware that if you maybe want to live you know, and pay more inexpensive rent, maybe you're not going to be in like the most beautiful neighborhoods or like the most safe neighborhoods. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Other con that I think most people when they come, you know, the people that come as tourists, is that Paris might not be the cleanest city, but again, that also depends on where you live. I know that when we came here, a friend of my boyfriend actually let us stay in his apartment the time that we could find where to live, and he lived in the 18th arrondissement, and it was not the cleanest, but then we go and we live in the 8th, which was very close of the Champs-Élysées and like the most beautiful avenue, so it was cleaned and washed every day. So like it really depends on where you live. Also the metro the metro can be a little bit stinky depending on the line that you take, and some can be more difficult than others, so it's both a blessing and a curse, because it's a very, in my opinion, a very efficient transportation system, but it does smell bad a little bit and it can be crowded at times depending on the line that you use. Okay, so that is it for this video. I really hope it helped you out. If I can give you some final advice, is you're not going to be able to figure everything out. Like, there's just some stuff that you're going to have to roll the dice and find out when you get here, because it's impossible to answer to every little question. You do not overthink the small stuff. Just make sure that you did everything you could to be as prepared as possible, and that, you know, the big stuff is very, very clear in your head and you should be fine. But anyways, that is it for me. I really hope this video brought you some value and maybe can help you guys out on your journey to coming here to Paris as a student. If you did like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you have any specific questions, don't hesitate to send me a DM on Instagram. I am also on TikTok if you want to just see, you know, more like fashion videos and stuff. And if you have any suggestions of videos that you want to see on my channel, definitely leave them in the comments down below. And I believe that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye!